Who are you? Guitar people, pedalboard people, people with amps that want to mic it somehow but don't have a mic. Guitar enthusiasts. We're looking at an IR loader. And the market is flooded with IR loaders. And, well, obviously, Two Notes is the premier company doing IR loaders from the very beginning. And someone found out, hey, this is something we can do. If we just have a platform for IRs, people will load their own, and all we have to do is have a great piece of hardware, which is kind of like a little computer, to run the IR. What is an IR? It is an impulse response. It is a snapshot of the frequency response and behavior of your speaker, pretty much captured in a wave file. A wave file, something, this is how your speaker sounds, and then it takes that information and translates it into what you're playing through the thing. There's a whole bunch of them, namely the Cab M from Two Notes, which is similar to this, but twice as expensive. Then we have, of course, there's the More Radar, there's the Cab Loader from Engel. I know the Nux has one, then Joyo has the Cab something, which is really, really big. Many people do Cab Loaders now. And features should be the difference. Sound, technically, when it comes to the pure IR, shouldn't be a difference because you're loading the impulse response or using the impulse response. So what can the box add to it? Then obviously latency. How long does it take between your played note and the heard note? Because it has to have a processor that processes that. Many guitar players notice latency. I don't notice it that much because I've always been kind of playing modelers and through the computer and stuff like this. So I'm not that perceptive to latency. So let's see, throw the Hotone or Hot One or Hotone. There we go. The Omni IR. When you have the actual Omni IR on the table, it doesn't flicker like that. That is just a frame rate issue with the cameras, which, by the way, the Two Notes also does. So it's just something with these digital screens. Very simple device. We have a foot switch, so you can bypass it, which kind of is pointless because then you just have no cap. You have that DI sound, which is not very pleasant. You can also assign things to the foot switch actually through the software or by pressing this function, foot switch function. You can say, what can we say here? When you tap it, oh, it goes preset plus or preset minus. Let's try that, preset plus. And we go exit, exit. So if I tap it, see, it just goes upper preset. That can be very convenient. Or you hold it and it goes mute. Mute makes more sense than bypass, I think. So I'm going to turn that back. We're going to go to bypass. Foot switch hold probably has similar things. Yes, preset plus, minus, and mute. Very cool. Then you have edit preset, where you can determine the volume and the EQ. So you can see there's lots. There's a 4-band EQ as far as I can tell. 3-band EQ and presence. You can save it, and that's it. So it's a rather straightforward box. This is a volume. So what you actually do on the pedal is very little. Change presets with the knob. It's a very, very big number you can easily see. I would recommend not editing on the box. That is something you can do in the practice room or in the studio, wherever you are. But I would recommend using the software, which we're going to look at in a bit. Other than that, you have an in and a through. As far as I could determine by the very brief manual, which is just a little card. By the way, it comes with a power supply, which is very nice. Thank you, Hotone. Hotone. Hotone! I don't know. Phil McKnight actually made a video about that. Hotone! I don't know. It's Hotone. I couldn't find out if you can feed this with speaker level. I'm going to go with no. Dave, Cheddar Kong Power, who's up there, he was all about, it's got ohms. And a certain amount of ohms. And that meant that a speaker has other ohms, millions ohms. And I zoned out when he talked to me. Something about don't put a speaker in there or speaker out in there. Is the cat doing stuff in the kitchen?
Yes.
What's the cat doing in the kitchen?
Cleaning the bowls.
The cat is cleaning the bowls in the kitchen. So if you're hearing that, that's what that is. So you would need to either go in directly with the pedal level or with a send from your amp's effects loop. You can't use speaker out into this pedal as far as I found out. There are some pedals, namely the blue guitar amp box or speaker box, the Cab M as well, but then you have to go through it into a speaker or some kind of load box because otherwise you're breaking your amp or the pedal. That power needs to go through. There is a through, so I'm kind of confused whether or not I can do it, but I don't want to test it without them explicitly telling me, yes, you can use speaker level. So that means we're going to go in with an effect pedal, or right now I've got the Friedman small box connected with the send from the effects loop, and we're going to go in there. But that means that in either case, we don't have a power amp. Meaning if I go out the send from my Friedman, that's after the preamp, circumventing the power amp, and that means preamp into speaker. So if you're someone who really wants the power amp to play a role in your sound, which if you're a metal guy, you probably don't. But anything vintagey, the Plexi, Mini Plexi, or any amp that puts the power amp into play, you won't have that luxury to use with this pedal. There is no power amp simulation in it. It is purely simulating the speaker. Other products do simulate the power amp, like the 2 notes, or like the angle, and so on. Just to let you know. However, I don't know how or why. Sounds are pretty dope. So we can see if Leslie goes on this side in and through. What we have on top of here is 9 volt, and there's an aux in, which means it's very cool. You can actually just pump your phone into it or something with a mini jack. And there's a headphone over here, also with a mini. And that makes this tiny box very cool for practicing, actually. It also has a USB up here, which we're going to see to connect to the software. But as a practice box with pedals, that's very cool. The aux in and the headphone out make that very useful. Then on the other side, you can see this is the out, unbalanced. Then you have a ground lift, and you have, even though the pedal's very small, an XLR, which is what I have connected. An awesome sound. This Friedman Metro D, I call her Peachy, because she's peachy. And I'm going into the Friedman Small Box 50, and that effects send into the Hotone Omni IR. And that's what you're hearing. So on preset 1, I accidentally changed the cap because I was fiddling with the software. There is a different philosophy in some boxes. Some boxes give you mic position, mic distance. They even add a reverb to simulate the room that the cab is in. This is an IR loader, meaning it purely loads the wave of the IR the way it was recorded. You can't move mics around. You can't do any of that stuff. it all depends on the impulse response that you're buying or the ones that are in there. Even though there's no power amp simulation, this is pretty damn okay. The drive, of course, coming from the amp. This is very recordable. I gotta say, this is absolutely something I would record if I didn't have all this shit. You know, in a little home studio. Dave checked it out. It's $150. So, come on. Because this is the other option, going D-high. And then using software, but then the problem with software is latency is just too bad. Going through like a wall of sound or something that comes out of your audio interface, and you wouldn't have this latency. You'd have a lot more. We're gonna go one or two more. Ooh, that's a. Nice. We can go through tons of presets. Let's go a little bit more high gain. Channel 2, which is the BE channel. That is pretty damn dope. Yeah, okay. You can't do that stuff. totally different sound. Yeah, okay. Let's try this. Pedal directly into the Omni IR. So there's clean. Now, of course, we're missing the preamp. We're missing the power amp anyway. Let's go back. And now we have the Logan from KMA on the table. Crank up the volume. There seems to be a lot of clean coming through there, but that's the Logan. Now, of course, it highly depends on the pedal that you got in front of that. I'm going to say directly as a pedal, it's going to miss the ampishness, the amplitude. It's going to miss the preamp sound, the warmness, the roundness, the dynamics. It's going to miss the power amp. Just with the pedal into it, it would be like taking a pedal, making it loud, putting it into a speaker. I'm going to go with probably not. Going back to the amp. So now let's take a look at the software. Here we are. Pretty simple. We got the speakers on the left. Those are the presets. And then you have low, mid, high, and presence. You can turn the EQ on. Right now it's completely off. Pretty simple. The preset volume is controllable. You can set tap and hold right here. Everything you can set on the pedal. But, of course, a little bit simpler and a little bit more straightforward. Let's turn this EQ on this setting here right now. Oh. So you can shape your cab a little bit. Ideally, you have a perfect IR. Right now, this is running on 48K, 24 bits. In order to change preset 0, you just click on this, and then you have a whole list of a lot of cabs here. US Chap, I don't know what a US Chap is. Probably Champ. I love how they did EGNO. We all don't know what thing they are out there. Why do they do that? They always do that. They should get away from that. All the companies, not just Hotone, everyone. Cedar, Twin, I don't know what that's supposed to be. But that actually doesn't matter what it's supposed to be. Does it sound good or doesn't it? That's kind of rowdy woody. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's fun. So, yeah, you can't really do anything to that. That just shows you. So the question is, IR files. Can I import another one? Import IR file. That's right, I haven't actually tried this, but we'll see. I should have some of Glenn Fricker's IRs from Lancaster Audio here. Lancaster Audio. There we go. Glenn Fricker IR pack. Here's the rev cap. Let's do that. With V30s, I want a on-axis 57. Open. Look at that. That seems to be done. It's another one of those. I'm impressed. That's easy. That is so easy. Let's do the Friedman technique, which is something that, I don't know, some kind of mic positioning that Glenn does. Now I gotta go, I get it. Down here. Here we go. That's actually pretty, Glenn, good job. Or the other one. It's got a little bit more room. There's some hum happening, which is because it's connected to the computer, and then there's a whole bunch of everything's connected. So what do I think? Well, it's a very simple device. It does a clear thing. It loads IRs. It plays them. You can shape them a little bit. You shouldn't, though, because if the IRs are good, like Glenn's, right out of the box, totally fine. Not too boxy, not too much low end, nice bite. Seems that Mr. Frickin knows what he's doing. Who would have thought? Because I thought he's wrong. It is very tiny. I mean, the pedal. I like the lighty uppy footy switchy. I like that you can determine what it does, that it goes through presets. What it comes with is usable. You will find your own IRs that you like. Easy to load. That was simple. Finding the software on the website was a little bit of a because it's not on the actual Omni IR website. It's you have to go to support and then downloads and all that stuff. And I'm a little bit distracted. What else? I love that it has XLR. That is kind of very important, and they didn't skimp on it, even though it's a... If you stop my recording, I'm going to be pissed. Thank you, Zeford. So, what am I going to say? It's all good. Without a power amp simulation, it's lacking a little bit in the sense of using it only with pedals or a preamp pedal. I'm pretty impressed how it sounds straight out of the Friedman into the thing. I wouldn't have thought it sounds that good without the power amp simulation. But it does, and it works. You can absolutely record with that. It's probably a good DI solution for going live out of the effects end of your amp. The only question is, how do you, if you have something in the effects loop of your amp, there's no, oh no, there is a through. So forget what I said. No, that works. Yeah, okay, you know the limitations, but you also heard the really cool sounds, which it does. Software is straightforward. Make sure you got the latest software. There's a whole bunch of versions. I installed the older one first. Make sure you don't do that. Get the newest firmware. That's easy to do through the software. What else? Is it better or worse than others on the market? It's an IR loader. As long as it works and I don't feel too much latency, it's dependent on what you load into it. I kind of think they probably all do the same thing, as long as they are that kind of concept. Very small, loaded up, done. You can't really do much with it other than play the Rs, which is great, and it does a good job. So, links below. I think you can get a Thomann. I think it's 149. Dave looked that up earlier. Thank you, Dave. Subscribe. Please Insta-grizzle me. That's important for someone. And Patreon, if you can. That really helps. You know, someone like Zayford, wherever he's there. Thank you. Leslie can find the right cameras to show cats. You know, she can't find the right camera to be on when I'm playing guitar, but she can find the right camera to show the cat. Shows you the woman's priorities. Yeah, please, all that, support, subscribe. And I would say animals at the end, but there already was one. I'll still do it. Animals at the end.